Hello and welcome back to The Independent Pianist. I'm your host, Cole Anderson, of course. And today we're continuing to look at Brahms's wonderful triptych of Intermezzi, Opus 117. My last video covered the first piece from the set, and today we're going on to number 2. Opus 117 number 1 began with a folk song-inspired lullaby, before continuing into something much darker in the middle section. This piece seems to be carrying on the mood from that middle section, from that first piece. This second piece in B-flat minor has a restless, wandering chromaticism and a very elusive emotional tone. Right from the beginning, Brahms sets this restless tone with the never-ending stream of 30-second notes shared between the left hand and the right hand. This is known, of course, as a perpetual motion style of composition, but unlike the more common version of this idea, which might be very virtuosic, very fast, very excited in character, this is very understated, rather oppressive. It might not be obvious on first hearing, but this seemingly improvisatory sounding passage is actually very tightly constructed. So the left-hand part is an inversion of the right-hand part. And the term inversion, I just mean that they have the same melodic shape, but they're turned upside down. And as the piece continues, Brahms continues to exploit this idea of the descending right-hand figure followed by the ascending left-hand figure, but he starts to expand it every time it occurs in a new form, and usually also accompanied by some kind of incredible harmonic turning point. So let's take this example. This might be the weirdest, most wonderful passage in the whole piece. So thematically, this continues the idea I've already mentioned. There's a downwards arpeggio followed by an upwards arpeggio. So it's just the same idea on a larger scale. But the most interesting part about this is, of course, the harmony. So sorry to you laymen out there. I'm going to get a little bit technical. You might want to skip ahead. But just briefly, I want to kind of go over this bit by bit in technical terms. So the first chord, these first 3 arpeggios, is an F dominant 7. So that's the 5 chord in B flat minor, simple enough. And the last chord is an E flat half diminished 7 chord. So that would be a 4 chord in B flat minor. That's a little bit unusual. Usually 4 would be just a simple minor chord, not a half diminished 7, but not unheard of to have a half diminished 7th chord there. But the mystery is this harmony in the middle, which is the equivalent to an F sharp minor or G flat minor chord, but Brahms doesn't spell it quite correctly for that. He uses a G flat, an A natural, and a D flat. So the A natural would be in an F sharp minor chord, but not on a G flat minor chord. It should be a B double flat, technically speaking. I think the rationale for why Brahms spells it this way is because he's arrived at this chord through voice leading. A G flat minor chord doesn't actually have a place in a B flat minor piece. The 6th scale degree usually would support a major harmony, not a minor harmony. The A natural, however, was present in the F7 chord, and it's also going to be there in the E flat half diminished 7th chord. So I think he's just kind of showing how the counterpoint creates these harmonies to an extent. And here's also a simplified reduction that I made to show more clearly how Brahms is kind of finessing a connection between the various harmonies. So in the context of B flat minor, Brahms is kind of going backwards. He's going backwards from the 5 chord to the 4 chord, but the voice leading kind of suggests this intermediary minor flat 6, which is kind of what holds it together. So the little substitutions and voice leading things that he's doing here, coupled with the figuration, is what really causes this passage to be so unbelievably magical. And of course, he has one more a transformation for this passage. When it repeats in the later part of the piece, he adds this wonderful filigree on top. By this time, Brahms's technique was so subtle and refined as a composer that he would rarely just repeat things exactly the same twice in a row. There almost always is some kind of subtle variation and development happening, even in exact repetitions. So the middle part of this piece, what I've marked the B section, offers some consolation. It moves to a major key. It also features Brahms's favorite rhythmic device, the hemiola, or syncopation. So as you can hear and see here, we have two note groupings that are falling off of the beats, off of the eighth note beats. And the tension here is maintained very well by the left hand kind of alternately emphasizing the beats and then also supporting the syncopation in the right hand. So you have kind of a push and pull going on. So seemingly this piece is fulfilling a very simple form, ternary form, A, B, A. When the first theme comes back, it quickly becomes apparent though that we're not getting an exact repetition of the first theme. And in the video, I've called this music, which is kind of in between the B section and the true recap of the A section, a transition. You could equally fairly call it a development section. It's an intensification of the opening ideas. So these motives, the descending arpeggio and the ascending arpeggio from the opening, they start to overlap closer and closer together. Then there's this eerie cadenza-like passage with these arpeggios expanded all over the keyboard. And then finally, it's all reduced down to just two notes. We get this agonized kind of sighing version of the opening melody. And after that, there's this dreamlike extension of this two-note idea over the dominant chord, the F dominant minor ninth chord, which finally ushers back in the true recap of the theme. Now, as I was saying, though, Brahms rarely repeats things exactly the same, and here he's altered the harmonies slightly. He uses the dominant chord on scale degree 1, which kind of undermines the stability of the harmonies, and suggests minor 4 again. So it creates a much more suspended and equivocal feeling. And I suspect that as a balance for that extraordinary development-like transition, Brahms also adds an extended coda at the end, which recaps the middle section and develops the middle section. He suggests a move towards B-flat major in this last passage for quite some time. But at the end, Brahms does fall back into B-flat minor. He doesn't let it stay in the major tonality. So thank you for watching. The full performance is coming up, and please do also support the channel if you can. One way to do that is, of course, patreon.com. I have other methods for making a financial contribution to the channel in the description box should you wish to do that. But you can also just hit the like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned till next week. I'll have some more great music for you. So until then, take care, keep practicing.